Sí, sí, bueno. ¿Está ya? Okay, so shall we start, please? Thank you so much for being here. Thanks. Well, sorry for the delay. I truly apologize for that. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here today, either physically or virtually, and for sharing a couple of hours of your time with us. In case you don't know me, I'm Bruno, and I'm one of the many pieces of this wonderful project we are presenting today. As some of you already know, this event gravitates around a project called 2 Meters Apart, Two Languages Together, which is the product of a joint effort involving our university, the University of Alcalá, and the University of East Anglia. We started planning this back in 2020. We all know what happened that year, and I'm going to try not to mention it because I know we are all fed up with this damn issue. Anyway, during and after the lockdown, we were concerned and worried about the impact that the situation may have had on university students. So we wanted to create some kind of space for them to express and convey their feelings and experiences during those months. And in our view, there's nothing like literature and creativity to do so. With this objective in mind, we started chaining our human and intellectual resources to wind up building the idea on which this project subsequently unfolded. We have been teaching translation, most of us, for several years, so we thought we should definitely do something with that. We have brilliant translation students here at the University of Alcalá. We have strong bonds with foreign universities, the likes of UEA. And UEA has a brilliant creative writing school. So we started connecting these dots, and so the project was born. The result of this project is a bilingual collection encompassing original stories by UEA students that were subsequently translated into Spanish by, in close collaboration, with translation students from the University of Alcalá. Our guests will expand on this process in a few minutes. What we are celebrating today is that this journey is close to an end. We are in the midst of the publishing stage, and we expect to launch the different volumes that will form this collection very, very soon. Do not worry, we will keep you all posted via different channels and media, so there's no way you're going to miss the publication of this collection. It has been a long and an exciting journey, and in order to wrap up this short introduction, I would like to thank, very briefly, all the parties that have made this possible. First of all, I would like to thank both institutions for funding and supporting this initiative. This and many other projects that are currently unfolding here and at UEA as well are good proof that investing in arts and humanities actually pays. So I encourage both universities to keep on supporting and boosting initiatives like this one, because I reckon they have multifarious benefits and a very positive impact at many levels. Obviously, kudos to all translators and writers for their work, for their effort and commitment to this endeavor. It has been an honor working with you, and I'm sure you all have a very bright future ahead, and myriad of good things will come your way. Thanks to the professors and staff from UEA. I'm talking about Nathan, about Kate, Antonella, Kiran, who have put so much time and effort into this as well. And thanks and congratulations to Elena for organizing such a wonderful event, for presenting our project. Thank you so much. Finally, please allow me to dedicate a special message to three people, to Silvia, to Maria, and to Lorena. I must say I'm probably the luckiest person in this room, at least I feel that way, for having the chance to work with them so often and in so many ways. They have been the fuel of this project since its inception, and they have supported me all the way. But they are much more to me than simple colleagues. They are three people I deeply love, and believe me, having persons like them by your side is one of the things that make our profession worthwhile. So thank you for this and for everything else, which is a lot. And I'm out. The floor now, from now on, belongs to Elena and to the real protagonists of this event, translators and writers at UEA. Hope you enjoyed this evening with us, and thanks again for being here. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Elena, your turn. Thanks.
Okay, first of all, I want to thank Bruno for this beautiful opportunity and everybody here on the room. And second, this is very important, never, 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 ever trust what you're told. Writers are, above all, liars. In fact, the opening line, once upon a time, it's actually a code word for, I'm about to lie to you. Sorry. Or the one I love, which is, I have a friend that knows somebody, and that somebody has an incredible story, but it's true, I promise, it's true. Well, what I'm about to tell you, it didn't happen to me. It happened to a friend's friend. Once upon a time, there was a girl that was asked to present a collection of stories called Unmasked Writings, Historias, Desconfinadas, and she was supposed to be really clever, so she thought the collection of stories was called Masked Writers. And now all of you have to live up to her failure. Thank you, Elena, for that. By the way, I'm Elena. Anyways, we are going to start with the first volume, which is called Mute Voices. So please give a big, big, big applause to Ana Sánchez, Sonia Herranz, Paula López y Olivia Serret. Come here, please. Try to, well, you two, over here. Wherever. Hello, ladies. Beautiful translators we have here. Before we start, remember to speak, you have to pass the button on the middle of that. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to start with Ana Sánchez, okay? Ana, we have the story Lady Time, that you translated. So Lady Time is a fantasy character, okay? It can be death, it can be the pandemic, but it's a story, this story is set during an uncountable virus, surprise. During this story, this dystopia, some kids are being kidnapped by the government. So tell us, Ana, about those kids, the hombre kids. Who are they? Why are they taking them? And how did you translate it? And of course, why did you take that decision?
Okay, does this work? Yes, it works. Okay. Well, the thing about these hombre kids is that you don't really know about them until the very end, and they are kind of the peak of the tension that has been built during the whole story, because there's something going on you don't really know, but there's tension in the family that appears in the story. Also, there's tension in their surroundings, because they belong to the hombre people, and those people are marginalized. And in the thing, apart from the pandemic, the virus pandemic, there are other things going on which are clearly racism. And the problem with those kids is that they are kidnapped because of that.
Yeah.
And so for me, it wasn't really translating that part about the kids, but in general, the whole tension that is built throughout the story.
Yeah, surprise question, Anna. Do you think that kind of racism had been going during this pandemic? I'm going to repeat this question maybe to everybody, so.
Okay, so the pandemic in my story, or?
In your life.
Oh.
Have you ever seen racism due to the pandemic?
In real life?
Yeah.
Mean? Yeah, I mean, not only racism, but also differences of class.
Yeah.
So because of the pandemic, some of the differences in society have been highlighted. And I think my story, well, Molly's, the writer's story, is about that, about how the pandemic make those more evident.
Very good, Anna. And how was the experience working with Molly Rose Medhurst?
It was amazing. I'm really happy because she was really committed, like to the point that she sent me a recipe of the cream she meant to add to the spaghettis in the story, which is not very relevant, but I asked everything and she answered everything. So it was really nice to work with her. Good. She gave me a lot of freedom, but we could work together very well.
Oh, well, thank you, Anna. I think all of our translators can share that experience. The next one, of course, I think she agrees with Anna. It's Sonia Herranz. Sonia translated the story Silences, but she's going to tell us the story in just one sentence.
That's a hard one. The translation, I think, is for everyone that has an interest in interpersonal and transcultural communication. And although I'm sure I just told this to you, I'd like to elaborate a bit further. Our translation is a mediation, a negotiation, if you will, not only between the translators and the reader, the translators and the text, the translators and the writer, and even between the linguistic structure of different languages, but also, and perhaps most interestingly for this point, between different cultures. Information travels between cultural systems, and it does so through translation. And this linguistic and especially cultural influx proves particularly interesting and enriching for the receiving culture as new norms, traditions, memories, histories, even languages are embraced by this receiving cultural system.
Very good, Sonia. Well, Sonia is a special translator and special friend of mine too. She translated slang, and that is super difficult. I love, for example, how you translated overuse with trillados. Is wonderful. Do you have any little tip for our translators here?
How one approaches the translation of cultural references depends almost solely, I would say, on the translation strategy that has been adopted beforehand. And in translation studies, we usually speak mainly about two strategies. Foreignization, on the one hand, which involves moving the source text with all its foreign elements towards the target audience and the target culture. And on the other hand, we have sort of like the opposite, domestication, which implies manipulating the source text to bring it closer to the target audience. By the way, I'm really sorry I keep touching my mask. Apparently it keeps falling off.
Sonia, you sound really, really professional. Thank you for your input. I mean, it sounds pretty good. I didn't understand a thing, but I'm sure it's good. Sorry, okay. I'm really not a translator, just a clown. Okay. I wanted to, of course, introduce the last story of this volume. It's called Unmask Me, and it is a story about intimacy. We're going to talk with her writer, Denise Monroe. And Denise, I have an important question for you. Do you think Denise can appear in the screen? Denise? Now I'm going to do magic. Zoom. Okay, truth is I'm not a magician. I'm so sorry. But I think our translators here can answer as well. So, Paula Lopez, Olivia Serret, I have two questions for you. Was it difficult to reach into an agreement during this project? I mean, there are two heads working together. Was it strange or something?
Well, actually, it was surprisingly easy working together.
Whoa.
And the process we followed was super simple too. Basically, we both translated the full text, and then we mixed or adapted both versions to create like a joint translation. And we connected super well from the very first time. So
Whoa.
At any time, did we have any problem when trying to reach an agreement or something like that? And well, it is true that we had a couple of questions about the source text, the original text, And it was super fortunate to have Denise with us and to be able to consult her about the text and the meaning. And that was what we did. We had a video call with her, and we could talk with her and discuss with her about the story. And it was super useful and super interesting.
Good, good, so good. I was going to say that we have some teachers in the audience, so note that it is actually possible to work together as a team in the university. That is something new for me, really. I'm sorry, that's true. So my next question really about working together is, each of you had different roles, like was more the more conservative one, like this has to be done this way, and the other was like, nah, let's add music and clowns and food. And
well, we were talking about this, and we had a pretty similar approach. And as she said, we did not have any problems. We really clicked. But I guess, I mean, we come from different fields, well, slightly different fields, because she's a translation graduate, I'm an English philology graduate. So I think, well, she had more experience, in my opinion. She had more knowledge of the more technical aspects of translation. She taught me a lot about typological syntax, for instance. And then when it came to translation, perhaps like a small difference there was that perhaps my translations were more wordy and flowery at times, and hers were far more straightforward and direct. So
Beautiful.
we really struck a balance between, sometimes we need a more literary approach, and sometimes she had just like this perfect expression or word that summarized everything.
that's the definition of a team, really. So thank you for your example. That is so great. Please give all of these beautiful translators a big applause, because they made it. Quick thing here. Oh my God, I'm so small. Just a second. Yeah, that's better. I think we can connect with the writer of the last story, Denise. So, Denise, if you can go here. Whoa,
Hi.
I did magic. Yay. Hi, Denise.
Hi, everyone.
Hi. What? Okay, I think you can hear me, right?
Yep.
Okay. I have a question for you, because your story really, I think, is one of the most interesting ones. People wear masks all the time, so it's part of their clothes, really. It's like having nice lingerie, so you can imagine. When the characters take each other's mask off, it really feels like, preliminaries, kind of sexual. Was it your intention, or I'm just really naughty?
No, you're not naughty. The whole story is about a sexual adventure. That's how it ends. It's all about getting a date. But I was really interested in the idea of wearing masks. So it was so new to everybody, and how, because we'd lost half our faces, we'd lost half the way in which we can express ourselves. There's no mouths to smile, to talk, to eat, to kiss. So the clothing of it with a mask made it an intimate thing. So to take that mask off and to show the mouth did become a sexual act. And it was, you're completely right, it was like the kind of the beginning of the hot scene that the story kind of glosses over. But yeah, I think more than the sexual act, the undressing and the unmasking was what was key in that scene. So yeah, it was spot on, dead right.
Thank you. Well, I think that was very clever. Thank you for your story, Denise. It was amazing. And thank you for your participation. We're going to continue now with Volume 2 and Volume 3 all together. So no date on the calendar, Volume 2. Love from Afar, Volume 3. Please welcome Soledad Benavente, Ángela Muro, Almudena, and Beatriz. I don't have your surnames. By the way, online we will talk with Ray, Ryan, and Millie Barton, who are the writers. I think it will work.
Yay!
Yay! We have 2 volumes here together, so it's going to be kind of a mixture of ideas and maybe a good debate. Let's start with volume 2, No Date on the Calendar. We have the stories such as Cartoons by Willa Freud, Unprecedented by Ray, and Weekly Routine by Ryan. Starting with Cartoons, the translator, Soledad Benavente, is going to present it briefly. But before, allow me to quote some extracts that resonated with my body. The first quote, very important. The sofa has formed an imprint of your butt. Yeah, it happened during the pandemic. Don't hide it, I know. The last ones are really, really dark, actually. Small feeling of anxiety is ignited. You have done absolutely nothing, like my final dissertation. Guilt has spent the last 30 days eating you from inside out, till you are hollow, and now it's too late to try. You have already failed. Yoo-hoo! Beautiful, everything is beautiful and happy, yeah. So my question, Soledad, is how did the pandemic affect you mentally? And what would you want to say to the ones who believe that we can work and produce the same as we did before? Yeah, you have to push.
Okay. Well, I personally tend to work more if I have problems, so that was not an issue for me during the pandemic, but it was personally in the sense that I couldn't see my family for a while, then I couldn't see my friends, and so on. So I just would say that we should take care of each other during these times, that mental health is so important, and that if you think that you're struggling, you are not alone, and that I'm sure everything will be better eventually, yes.
Thank you so much. That is so beautiful. Thank you. I needed someone to say that to me. Thank you. In Cartoons, I found, in your translation at least, something that it surprised me a lot, because in English you don't really have a gender, but you have to translate it somehow into Spanish. So I've seen that you chose the feminine gender approach. Why was that? And do you think we can overcome that gender barrier?
Okay, so first of all, this story is more about personal experience. It's not that much about gender, but yes, it was in the first person. I tried to avoid some adjectives, not to choose one gender or another, but at the end, it was more natural that way. And I felt that, the writer and me, I should write from personal experience also as the translator. The story is essentially personal and intimate. So
you're absolutely right.
I just put the feminine.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think, in fact, if you identify yourself as a girl, I think it's easier to translate that to your gender in some ways. So very clever for your part. Thank you so much. Very good. We're now going to connect with Zoom, with UK. So if you can open the magic door to another dimension, please. Yay, you can. Okay, hello. The next story is Unprecedented by Ray. So Ray, I have a very important question for you. How on earth were you so brave to do a poem out of this unprecedented event, such as the pandemic? Please tell us all about it and sell it to the people in this room and in your room.
I wouldn't say that I was brave necessarily. I think the main reason why I started writing it was because it was almost an outlet for me as soon as the pandemic sort of hit and we were put in lockdown. For me, my A-levels had stopped, so I didn't get to finish school. And I'd been at the school for 7 years, and it was almost this moment of heartache. I was kind of broken from the fact that I didn't get to finish something.
Wow.
A poem came from that. It started off as the character Hannah in it. I sort of identified myself with as someone who was going crazy in an unprecedented time. But yeah, it sort of started with me being able to explore something and find peace in the fact that we had gone into a pandemic and in a lockdown.
Very good, very good. I think that's a defense against everybody who thinks that poetry is dead, really. So thank you so much. Please, if you ever get those books, read that story, well, that poem, because it is done beautifully. Thank you, Ray. I wanted to ask you something else. Do you think your translator had faced problems? There are problems in poems. Do you think your translator had problems?
Yeah, there were a few. I had some rhyming elements in there, but I used quite a bit of profanity at times. So it was quite funny trying to be able to find the Spanish equivalent almost, because it came out of an element of frustration. So there were problems of like trying to be able to find a direct translation from what I wanted to say without it coming across as almost crude. But luckily, my translator, we were able to talk through it, and it became sort of almost quite fun being able to like say these Spanish swear words as well as the English.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of that. Oh, sorry, bad connection. I was saying, Ray, I think that's the beauty of that, because, well, you have to talk with your translator, and maybe all writers should do that. Do you agree? Do you think your writers in your work environment should do that? Translators here? Yeah. Okay, that wasn't a very good question. Ryan, before we go, Ryan, you wrote weekly routine. So can you tell us a story in just one sentence?
How did your house feel in lockdown?
Okay, that was good. That was so good. Without giving many spoilers, can you explain why the point of view is that important for your story, the point of view of the narrator?
Yeah, so something I was sort of particularly interested in is obviously, like, not to be cliche, but everyone was locked inside. Like, so the point of view of a human was sort of pretty boring to me, because I am a human, I know what it's like. And so the point of view in my particular story sort of puts this on its head, and it forces you to look at other aspects of lockdown and other things that were sort of going on around you, and consider sort of the human impact on your sort of local environment a bit more intensely than people probably have done.
Very good, really. I think actually the point of view of this story is one of the most creative ideas I have ever read. So thank you, Ryan. I have just one last question. How was it to collaborate with your translator?
Oh, it was really interesting, especially as to the perspective I've taken is it caused a lot of like metaphors and things, and so it meant that a lot of differences in translation of where I would have said something and my translator would say, I have no idea what that means in Spanish, like it doesn't mean anything. And so we have to sort of try and find other ways of defining some metaphors. So it was really interesting.
Very good, right? You're actually right. Thank you, all of you here. We're going back to Spain, so see you in just a minute, okay? Okay, Spain, here, sorry. Now, translators, do you agree? Do you think working with your writer, it was a good experience somehow? Somebody open the mic, say something, come on, Angie. Okay.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you, great input. We're going to continue with the third volume, which is Love from Afar. The first story, it's called Can I Call You Back? But I think we don't have the translator for Can I Call You Back here. So we're going directly to the second story, Isolation Does Not Equal Alone, by Millie Barton. Oh yeah, Millie, I think Millie is connected, right? Yeah? Okay, can we go back to Zoom again? I'm sorry, the logistics here are crazy. Magic Zoom. Whoa, love it. Hi, Millie, sorry, I completely forgot. Millie, your story, Isolation Doesn't Equal Alone, it's full of goodness, and their older stories are kind of dark. So what made you write something so good and so fluffy and beautiful in spite of the pandemic and what was happening to all of us?
I mean, I think we all needed it, to be honest. I think it was so easy to see it as such a dark time. And it really did feel like life just stopped. Life kind of got put on pause. You were locked in your house and everything just kind of ended all of a sudden. And then it was kind of the opposite, actually. Life carried on despite the pandemic, in spite of the pandemic. And that is always going to keep carrying on. So I think just finding the goodness in that and appreciating it and realizing that these small changes are still happening in your life in this terrible time. They still deserve to be spoken about, even if they're not happening kind of in the huge romantic way that you'd expect them to in normal life. Like, these really beautiful things can still be happening. And to just find them and appreciate them and hold on to them at a really dark time for everyone, I think is quite important to me.
Yeah, actually, Millie, your story, it brought me so much happiness by reading it, because it does have some I'm sorry, in Spanish, in English it's difficult, LGTB representation, right?
Yeah.
And it's full of goodness, because normally in films, the gays always die. So
Yeah, every time.
thank you.
Every time.
Thank you. Yay, gay rights. Do you think we are finally doing the representation right, at least with your story, or do you have any tips, to write LGTB characters?
Yeah, I just think it's to just not think, right, we're going to have the gay best friend, or we're going to have the gay couple that one of them dies and it's this whole tragedy, because we see that in the media again and again. And I think it's just to be normal, to not have it focused on at all, and not have it boy meets girl meets girl, anyone, just person finds person, and somehow has this kind of connection over 1,000 miles. That in itself is the magical thing, not really who it is or what it is, just to be represented as people in the most normal way, to not even kind of focus on it. In the same time, the character has to come out to her brother. So I think I was trying to balance that, recognizing the character needs to come out, something needs to happen here for her growth and her personal journey, but then at the same time, it's not this story based in stereotypes of LGBT relationships. That was kind of the balance.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, acknowledging it and also not focusing on the negative aspects of it is quite important.
Yes, of course. Well, Millie, I have to say, you cure my depression, so thank you.
Thank you, amazing.
Thank you all. We will go back to you in a minute. Dear translators, here you are, all together. Your work here is brilliant. From translated something like you froze to te has quedado pillada. You were talking to te estabas riendo, which, as you know, it all depends on the context. Thank you, translators, for traumatizing me with that. It makes really even better sense. However, you didn't translate beer pong, okay, the game, you know. Thus, my question turns to be quite complicated. So, do you think a Spanish 60-year-old that doesn't get out much with his friends will understand beer pong? And how can you address all audience in your translations? Yeah, please.
Okay, so we thought about different options for beer pong as birra pong, but we asked some friends, and all of them knew.
And our parents.
Yeah, and our parents too. And
they didn't know.
Yeah, our parents didn't know what beer pong was, and our friends knew. But we can't assume everybody's going to know all the terms in a text. So, for example, if it's science fiction, not everyone is going to understand everything. So the context gives the rest, because it appears mentioned together with some other party games. So we thought that was it.
Okay, very good. A very good excuse. If I was your teacher, I will say, okay, I don't care. Obviously, crucial question here. How was it to work with your peer? Did one of you get all the job done and the other say, yeah, everything is okay? Or what?
Well, it was interesting because we didn't know each other. We just met in this project. And we were just talking by WhatsApp, like, hey, hi, my name is Bea, and you, I'm Modena. Okay, can we meet at some time to, to do the translation together? Or, no, we are too busy because I was studying the last year, well, my master's degree, and she was studying her last year of the degree. And we couldn't really meet very much, so we decided to do our own version of the text and then just gather around to create a mix of both texts to create the final version of the translation.
Very good, very good. I don't know how the hell you guys do it. But okay, I trust you. Thank you so much. We are going to finish with Angela there. Hello, Angie. Angela translated with her friend Claudia the story Things Past Red, something that is red. Thank you. This one is going to hit pretty hard, but I think it is important for our sensitive translators out there, okay? During the events of the story, we meet Miss Celine, who actually died. So we really meet her husband, and he's suffering a lot. So if you had, I'm now asking to the audience, if you had a similar experience, it is very difficult to actually work in a story like that, with death and pandemic and so on. It's hard. It's really hard. So, Angie, how do you work with that in your mind? If I didn't explain myself, I try again. It's just my mind is going. Okay.
Repeat the question, please.
Did you have somebody who sadly passed away during the pandemic? Or do you know somebody who had that experience?
I do. Actually, when I was here and my mom called and she told me that one of my brother's friends, he lost his mother due to the COVID, and it was awful. It was awful, really.
Yeah. So I think that feeling kind of interferes with your job, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. This is going to sound awful, but it was useful.
Oh my God.
Like, in the sense that, of course, I cannot know how he felt and how this man feels, but it was useful to be near to a similar situation.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's. I cannot say that's very good because that's very sad.
Yeah, it's awful.
But you understand. Moreover, this story has the point of view of a really old person, and that is fantastic in terms of representation, because we always see the youngsters doing things. What about the old people? What does it mean to you, Angela?
It was beautiful, particularly because it's true, we don't really read anything about old people, and I don't know, it was a very different point of view, and also he was interesting. He was old, but he was young, and he remembered the past as it was the present.
Yeah, that's true.
That was cool.
Yeah. I think your translation and Claudia's translation.
Yeah, she should be here.
Yeah, she should, but she's scared.
Be here.
She's really scared. I think it was pretty witty in that sense. So I'm going to finish with you with a little question. You have been into university. We all have been into university, and we have sometimes teamwork, and that's awful. So was it awful for you and Claudia, or did you do things right finally?
No, well, at least for me, I don't know for you. For you, I don't know, but we didn't know each other, and I really love her because she's a very hard-working person, and she's very witty, and she did amazing. And when I was awful, she was the best. So.
See what they say of you, Claudia. You should be here. Before we go to the... oh my goodness, Claudia, hello! Hello, everybody. This is Claudia. Whoa, I did it. She's so shy, so be good with her. Well, this is funny, Claudia. This is funny. Thank you so much for coming.
Okay, you're terrible. I didn't want to be here.
It's okay, it's okay. You know, the good thing about this, I don't have a question for you.
It's perfect. I don't want to answer to any questions. So.
Was it good to work with Angie here? Was it okay?
Yeah, it was a wonderful experience. As she said, I didn't know her, but she's a loving person. And when I had a problem twice, are always better than one. So
see, teamwork here. It actually works. You. Okay. Thank you, Claudia, for coming here, and thank you all beautiful translators here for your beautiful, beautiful answers. We're going to the next volume. Okay, so give them a really hard, big applause. Okay, I think that's better, yeah. It was sounding so bad. Next volume, it's called Isolated Intimacies, and contactless, that will be at the very end, okay? So please give a very big applause to Candelas, Julia Martinez, and Rebecca, and that's all. Thank you, and that's all, yeah. Woo! Okay, you know what? Leave a space between you two. Yay! I'm a translator! Woo! I'm a translator now, okay? Oh, yes, thank you so much. I needed that. Okay, hello, girls. Thank you so much for being here. Girls, you translated, first of all, Candelas. Right. You translated An Evening Discourse. And that was very clever too. Remember we were talking about old people? Well, now we have Bao, who is a little baby, who had been obsessing over let it go, let it go. It's a nightmare. How do you think the little kids cope with the pandemic, and how did you represent all of that?
Here, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so well, it's true that we have this character, which is Bao, which is sort of the character that everything revolves around. But the main narrator is one of his aunts, who's one of his caretakers. So I think in that way it was different and also easier for me to translate because I somehow like kids, but do not get the hang of them so much. So I guess the fact that it was the caretaker that I was translating made it easier. But also she had this thing where she was an adult, but she cared so much for Bao that she somehow also conveyed Bao's point of view in a way. And in terms of how kids cope with the pandemic, honestly, I don't know, because I have the energy they do, and I do badly, and so I cannot imagine being a little kid.
Well, speaking as a kid myself, it was hell. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
good.
Okay, now we're going into the field of translation, more like more than writing. So, big question: why did you decide to maintain so many English words, such as I have them here, like, you know, the mention of "Let It Go" from Frozen?
Yeah.
Why was that decision there?
So if you have them there, you probably remember better than me, because as of now, I only remember keeping Baby Shark and Let It Go. Yeah. And Baby Shark I did because there's no Spanish translation for that, so it would have been funny to say Bebé Tiburón, but at the same time, it wouldn't have meant the same or make reference to what the writer was making reference to. And in terms of Let It Go, I did because I felt that it would be more recognizable if I kept it in English. So I didn't exactly know my target audience. And obviously I'm translated into Spanish from Spain, but in Spanish, Let It Go has been translated in two ways. So for Spain as Suéltalo, and for Latin America as Libre Soy. So keeping Let It Go, it was a way of not having to choose, which is something that I try to do as much as I can.
Avoiding problems with all nationalities. Yeah. Good job there. Well, I have a question, the last question for you, but it's going to you as well. Okay, so be ready. Your panic face, it's astonishing. It's okay, it's okay. The story, Evening Discourse, it has something that happened to the pandemic, which is influencers. I hate influencers. They are all selling special ways to treat your symptoms of, COVID-19 and your symptoms of depression and your symptoms of existential crisis. I don't know. It's stupid. They are not doctors in medicine. So, do you experience that through this story? Do you think translators can help into, I'm not going to say killing, but making disappear the influencers' influence?
I mean, as in a way, translators work as, or translators' work is giving voice to someone else. So I think somehow, if we could help somehow, it would be quitting giving whoever it is a voice. And also I think something that we could bring to play that's very interesting about translators and the translation process is research, because it's a crucial part of our work, and so we can use that to avoid the spread of fake news somehow, and because we're supposed to be contrasting information and making sure that our sources are right. So I don't know, I think we could use that skill.
So to sum up, don't translate influencers.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
I do.
Whoa, thank you. When teachers tell you to speak, you do that a lot, right? Okay, here's Julia Martinez, right? She translated the story Buffet of the Death, which is written by Henry Jones. I think we have Henry on the Zoom meeting. So I'm going to start with you, then with Henry. I don't know how I'm going to pull this off. I'm going to describe this story with a quote, okay? So imagine, if I eat this cheese cream, I will die. So that was the whole story. If you eat something or you're close to somebody, be prepared because you could probably die from COVID-19. All that nonsense of fear that had somehow sense. Your story, Henry Jones' story. Have you ever felt Gloria's, the main characters, and her husband fear of being a social gathering, even when you can kill your granny with being there?
I mean, even outside of COVID situations, I hate being in very public places, like with family I hate, for example. So I guess I felt, I don't know, fear for my life. I don't know. But yeah, during COVID, I have felt very anxious whenever I went out. Actually, I think that reading this story was, translating this story was interesting because it was like taking a peek into the mind of someone that's as paranoid as me, and but only that this person wasn't repressing their fears, unlike me. So yes. I guess so.
Good one. Thank you for saying you're scared of people, because there are a lot of people here, so that's nice. Very good.
Yeah, I'm working with my creepiness.
Very good. You're so good on this one. I think we have the writer, Henry Jones, on Zoom, so if we can zoom the screen. Don't worry, I have magic. It's cool having beautiful technicians. Thank you. Thank you, technicians. It's Henry Jones there.
He is not, no.
Damn it, that is what happens when you try to contact everybody via mail. Many of them do not contact you back. Well, thank you for being there. We're going back to you in a minute. Just wanted to show all of you here in Spain the beautiful faces, because it is important. Anyways, close this up. Sorry. Okay, that was awkward. Without giving many spoilers, Julia, what do you think about the ending, and why did you choose to translate the last word, which is the last sentence, which is "that's bad," to "es horrible"?
Well, I think the ending felt anticlimactic, but in a good, fun way. I wasn't exactly expecting it, but like you have these protagonists building like this grandiose like prose, being very dramatic, and then suddenly, I don't know, you have to read it to know what I mean. So read it. Well, and also about my translation of Es horrible. I guess it was just because I'm a coward and I went like to play safe. Instead of like using another kind of more colloquial expression in Spanish or something, it just felt natural, so I went with it. There's not like a hidden motive or something like that.
The good thing about that is that the story ends with a cough from Gloria's, as well as with sorry, spoiler, as well as with a poem from her husband. So I like the idea that the poem and her cough are horrible, are awful at the same time. That was very clever from your part. I think. You're welcome, darling.
I did it.
Yeah, that was very good, very good. Sorry, this is off. Now it's my turn. No, seriously, you did so well, but you're going to stay here because you're beautiful and we all want to see your faces, at least half of it. But we're going back to UK, so you can put the screen, with the last volume, which is Contactless, by two beautiful writers called Andre Hughes and Christopher Perry. Andre wrote Afternoon, and Christopher wrote the story that gives name to the volume, Contactless. So writers, these questions are for both of you. First one, this is very weird because I have you all here, but I have to look there. How would you describe all your writings? This is my favorite question. You have to describe your story in just one sentence. Good luck.
Okay, I'll go first. Well, yes, that's notoriously difficult to paraphrase a poem, but I'll have a go. It's a prose poem that captures the gradual fragmentation of emotional connections, especially experienced during the height of maximum physical distancing of lockdown in the UK, and specifically the first lockdown. That's what I would say.
Very good.
Okay, so there's 5 of the poems I wrote during that period in this collection, and I was writing every day. So I think I wrote 59 days of poetry and notes and things. And it was an attempt to report my experience of the lockdown, knowing that there would be millions of people writing their own experiences as well. And I was very lucky to be in a place that was very beautiful, and I was able to look, as one of our previous speakers has said, and see the changes that were happening around me, because I was not able to go far. And to see life and nature moving the way it does was a beautiful experience, and I've tried to capture some of that, but also the emotion of being isolated in that place.
Christopher, darling, I loved your stories, but that are a lot of sentences. Thank you. Okay, next question is, well, for both of you as well, but Christopher is going to start. In which conditions did you write all those short stories? I mean, pandemic, your home, your family issues. Was it easy to write during all those circumstances?
Okay, well, I'll tell you the setting. Really, I was between homes. I was in a relationship with somebody in another country, in Switzerland, and I've been looking for a place in Britain's second most densely populated city, which is Portsmouth. And my son in China said, "Dad, you do not want to be in a shared house looking for somewhere to live during the pandemic." So I went to live with my sister, who lives up on the coast here in Norfolk. And she has a house which is not far from the coastal marshes. Has a medieval church, and it has lots of holiday homes that were empty because all the Londoners were locked in.
Yeah.
Which was a nice change for us. And then the weather was dry and sunny, and the relationship broke up like putting a jigsaw back into a box piece by piece. The old dog my sister had, Lila, was slowly dying.
So, Christopher.
And, Norfolk is rarely warm. So
Christopher, sorry I interrupt you because, what you're actually saying, it's kind of same that happened to me. We are sharing the same experience here in Spain and there in UK. Conditions to write, to translate were awful. But there was one translator here that liked to work under pressure, so that she didn't count. She doesn't count. So yeah, we share the same conditions, which is good. Maybe we share the same experience as well, working together. So this question is for Andre. Andre, do you have any tips or any advice for people who would dare to work together in a creative project?
Yeah, so obviously in this project, I work with Chris and I work with our translator, Aida, and I think what was very clear is how open and honest you have to be, especially between three people. It's very easy to get misunderstandings, so you have to be clear in the way you communicate it, and also you have to make sure that you're not afraid of being interrogated over a particular word that you've used, because people are just interested in why you went about using that word, that comma in that particular place.
Yeah.
That can seem quite, was at times difficult because you put a lot of time into it. But I think really it's such a great opportunity to do this, that if you do any kind of collaboration, I think it can only enrich your way of viewing the process of writing and the way it gets published.
You're absolutely right. As you said, it is an opportunity and a great opportunity. So I highly recommend all of you here to work together in a team, like these ladies here, like those writers there, like those translators here. I mean, it's a great experience, and obviously it's even greater to share it with all of you. Now I have to say, well, UK, thank you so much for coming to your university, for going into the Zoom with us today. It's been it's been a huge pleasure talking to you, seeing your faces finally. So thank you all, and we keep in touch, okay? Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, UK. You see, I'm trying to control time here so nobody gets bored, but we still have something else to say. Before that, do you know why I kept you here? No. Because you're pretty, and I like pretty girls. You can go. Oh, thank you. Now, before we go, we have a surprise for you. Two beautiful writers of Alcalá de Henares, actually, two very young and beautiful writers, are going to tell us that writing together can be possible too. So if you translated something with a peer, now we're going to see how easy or difficult it was to make a novel and then another, and I'm hoping another novel after that one, with two different heads. It's a beautiful experience, I think, but they are going to show it to us today. So please welcome Hermanas Greenwood, Bea and Natalia, Beatriz Blanco and Natalia Martín. One here and the other here because I'm liking this seat very much.
Yeah, we figure.
Okay. Ooh, hello.
Hello.
Okay, that is very good. First of all, let's put this here. Those are their books, beautiful books. Well, you can't see it, but I promise they are beautiful. Hermanas Greenwood, thank you so much for coming here today. Well, they are, okay, maybe you don't know them, but because you study quite a lot. If you go out, they are pretty famous here in Alcalá de Henares, so I'm feeling really, really glad to have you here today. Well, and speaking about advice, to write 4 hands, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay. Yeah, I mean, maths. I'm studying literature. I don't like maths. So you didn't die in the process. As we might have observed, we have been asking the same question to each writer. So I need you to sell your story with just 1 sentence. Go.
Wow. Oh,
pressure.
Yeah, it's working, right? Yeah. This is really tough. I think it's the worst question ever. So
We're awful
next
at
question,
this.
please.
Suffer with me. No, but seriously, sorry. Breathe. When you have to sell a story to the audiovisual world, you have to do it in just 1 sentence. So please suffer because I want this on Netflix.
We think we will define Los Absolutos, the name of the story, as a new Madrid city in which you'll find your scariest fairy tales can come true, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, so you basically destroyed all of our childhoods?
No.
Yeah, more or less, no.
Okay, thank
Not
you.
at
More
all.
trauma. Yay.
Also, we can define it with action, motorcycles, rival gangs, leather jackets, and murders. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, more trauma.
And the top of all of that, Disney and Grimm references. So I think, well, we think it's a very good mix, an strange mix, but good.
Yeah, there is also some sexy time there, so. Well, at the same time, at least it's a personal opinion, but I believe taking a novel, a story to the audiovisual world is also kind of a translation as well. So do you think if this ever goes to Netflix, I wish, do you think translators must be involved in that process?
We thought about this a lot, and of course the answer is yes. I mean, a translation is not only about, well, we think we're not translators, obviously, but it's not only about changing the language. It's not only about going from English to Spanish or Spanish to English or any other language. It's about, you know, getting a lot of communication processes and get them to flow whenever you're working with all of them.
Right.
Writing a book is not the same as writing a movie. So we absolutely think we need professionals for that.
Get ready, darlings. Maybe
So,
some
yeah.
of you will have a job.
I mean, it is difficult, and we ourselves took a little bit of a part to work in our book trailers. You know,
Yeah.
with a little bit of a movie.
That's true.
And taking the essence is hard. It's hard. That is why I think we need all of you to be working in this field. And yeah, if Netflix is watching this, I don't know where the camera is, but hi, how you doing?
How you
Good
doing?
luck. Good
Hello.
luck there. Well, key question for both of you, and I think your insight is very important for everybody who dares to do a creative project together.
Mm-hmm.
So, which were the positive aspects of working together, and which were the bad ones?
We don't have it positive
No.
aspects. Yeah, thank you.
Next question.
More trauma. No, seriously.
We would say that the best part is to be able to share the experience with someone. We think we can summarize like that. But of course, is it also positive to have another person who questions you or who contributes you with new ideas to your main idea, or who managed to make you cry or laugh?
Yeah.
And I don't know, I think it's a very positive aspect, and we think it could be better, it could be better to have the same situation with translators and share and learn with others. It's a great way to grow. We think so.
Now you say that about those translators. Do you want your novels to be translated into English?
I mean, that's another dream. Hello,
Yeah.
Netflix. Hello, English redactors.
Hello.
How's it going? No, we wish. That is another dream. As you can see, we're dreamers. I think that's why we're here.
What do you expect about the translation, of Los Absolutos, if that ever comes to a place?
I think it's I don't know about you. I think it's a pretty easy, handwriting. It's just about, obviously, we're always going to see these aspects in which you talked before about, some expressions in Spanish that we're not going to see in English. And this is a really street book. We can see a street book here.
Yeah,
So that
people
might
from
be difficult.
Madrid, they say all the time, mola mazo, en plan, it's awful.
No, we don't really. Do not say that.
I do that all the time.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. You said you aren't translators, but you have really good English. So have you tried to translate your novels yourselves?
No.
Good
Has
job.
never. No, it
Good
has
job.
never crossed our minds. The other day we were talking with our publishing house,
Yeah.
and they asked that to us. Like, have you ever thought of writing your own books in English or translating them? And we looked at each other and we said, have we thought about No, I don't want to kill myself, and I don't want to kill her.
Well, I think that's very good because you recognize that you're good in English. You are actually teachers of English for little kids. But we have translators here. That is their job, to write in English, to write in Spanish, the other way around.
Yeah.
So recognizing that, it's perfect because it allows us to work, really. Going into that, last question, I promise. Do you think that working alone, in that case, if you write in Spanish, then you yourselves translate that into English, do you think that's a bad idea or a good idea? Just working by yourself into creating one novel or two?
Well, actually, we write alone and we write together. Like, we have books by ourselves and writing in four hands.
Yeah.
So depending on the moment, and I think, and the story and what we have to tell. So depending about everything. I don't know what to answer to that. I mean, depending on everything.
I just was saying that because I wrote novels myself.
I know.
And
We really know.
Yeah. And I did that all by myself. And since this is
that's hard.
Yeah. And now we're here together sharing that the idea of collaboration gets your job done easily, faster, beautifully, because there are more minds
working together.
It makes things good. I think you both will agree. If you work together, if you agree, good job gets done. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you so much.
Please buy their books. And I think that's a wrap up. Thank you all for coming here. I'm sorry if my English is great. Obviously it is.
Of course it is.
And thank you, Bruno, Silvia, Maria, and everyone here for this wonderful opportunity. And thank you, UK, for connecting with us. That will be all. See you on the next one. Bye. Translators, please don't go away because we have another surprise for you. Sí. Okay, so we have a surprise for all translators here, but first of all for Hermanas Greenwood. Don't go away. Hey, Bea, stop.
I asked if I go.
You all get a gift, but the people from the audience only get the gift of seeing my beautiful face, okay? Thank you. Okay. If you don't mind, the translators can go here and take your gift from Bruno, because I don't remember your names, and I will give gifts for the audience too. Hey, I love microphones. After this, you get to eat something. So when you're ready, go to the second courtyard, okay? And we will eat and drink together and share this experience.